Why do we boast? We boast. We self-aggrandize. We're conceited. We're arrogant. We're full of pride, but not the kind of, not quiet pride. Not pride in Yahuwah, in Yahusha. No, we promote ourselves. We commend ourselves. And what are we really doing? Think about this. When we're shouting from the rooftops about ourselves, when we're marketing ourselves, when we're going on and on and on about how great we are, about how big our accomplishments are, about how cool our achievements are, when we're showing all the rewards that we gain on this earth as treasure that has been earned by our earthly actions, and we boast about it. We shout about it. We shake the pillars and we cry glory for all that we have built. We built nothing but a house of cards. You think about this, it is nothing more than our own weakness. It is nothing more than our own frailty, our own insecurity to go on in this manner, to talk about ourselves and make ourselves big. Because why? Because we want the esteem of man. Because we want the honor of our fellow man. We want the glory of our fellow man, which means nothing. The only true glory is in glorifying Yahuwah, the Most High. That's the only glory. And so if you want to boast, everything that you have, any reward that you have, any treasure that you have, will come when you glorify Yahuwah. Anything you have on this planet, if you've worked hard for it, everything that you do, everything that you are, everything that you have built, it'll be gone in the blink of an eye. You give glory to Yahuwah. That is the only boasting that means anything. That is the only glorifying that means anything. That you want to honor, you want to commend Yahuwah. Raise him up for the world to see as your divining rod, as your lightning rod, as the wind that pushes you forward, that sets your sail to sea. It is that which is the true driver of all that is worthwhile, of all that is glorified, all that is righteous, all that is sanctified. When we boast of our own accord, of our own deeds, of our own actions, and we don't give that glory to Yah, what are we doing? The only reason we do it is because we're empty, we're unfulfilled, and so we think we'll feel better when we're bestowed with the esteem of man, with the glory and the honor and the trophies and the accoutrements of man, that we should be lauded by man, and by dint of that be given some form of power over other men, that we can lord over other men due to our accomplishments, that we're better than everyone else. Again, this stems from weakness, insecurity, and all weakness and all insecurity is born of evil and leads to evil. Because what are we doing when we're doing that? I mean, if we were satisfied, if we were fulfilled, if we were grateful and thankful, we would be humble. We would have humility. We wouldn't need to to self-aggrandize. We wouldn't be filled with conceit and arrogance at our so-called accomplishments. We wouldn't have to promote ourselves, market ourselves, and shout about it to the world that we're so great, that we're so amazing, that we're so brilliant. We wouldn't have to do that. We do it because we seek the esteem of man, because we are empty inside, and it is being driven by evil. Because what are we doing? We're putting in a lot of the time our boasts, our self-aggrandizement, our conceit and arrogance, our lies. Most of it isn't even real. It's just us tooting a horn. That's all we're doing, right? We're just out there cheerleading for ourselves. If we were so great, others would see it. We wouldn't have to. And more importantly, we would be glorified by Yah. We wouldn't need the esteem of man. The esteem of man is the last thing that we want. The last thing that we need. All esteem, all glory, all honor goes to Yah. That's where strength is found. That's true strength. The strength to be humble, the strength to have humility, the strength to give all glory to Yah, to give all accomplishment and achievement to Yah's will, to hand it all, to surrender to Yah. He will take you where you need to go. Not man, not the esteem of man. That will lift you nowhere but deep into the ground, because it feeds your ego, it feeds your weakness, it feeds your insecurities. It feeds your pride, and the worst kind of pride. The pride that makes you feel like you have power over others, that you can lord over others, that you can conquer others, that you can gain dominion over your fellow man by dint of somehow being better than, having more reward, having more trophy, having more money, having more accomplishment. You're no different, you're no better. When I say you, I mean me. Because I'm no different than anyone else. This has been me throughout my whole life. I've acted that way. I am a sinner and I am evil. So make no mistake about it. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm holding up a mirror to myself. I'm shouting out to the world. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking about myself. About my own sin, my own evil, my own conceit, my own arrogance. And I look back at that with shame, with horror, with agony, with guilt, with frustration over who I was. Now that I know the truth, the way, and the life. Now that I live in Yahushua HaMashiach, and I see what I was, and I see who I want to be, and I realize that all glory goes to Yah. That we are a vessel for His message, that we are an instrument of His will, at our best. And I pray almost every day, if not every day. I am on my knees. In fact, every day. I am on my knees and I am saying, please, Yahuwah, crush my ego, dissolve my ego, destroy my ego, and turn me into a pure vessel for your message, a pure instrument of your will, so that I may lift others up who are currently where I once was. Pain, agony, depression, sorrow, insecurity, weakness, jealousy, envy, sorrow, hatred, anger, anxiety, frustration. I mean, all of it, all the negative emotions that you can imagine. I've been through it all, back through the ringer. I've had cancer twice. I've had liver issues, healed from everything I've just said. All of it wiped away due to the power, the glory, the majesty of Yah, Yahuwah, Yahusha HaMashiach, filled now with the Ruach HaKodesh. I speak to you, filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. And if you think about it, when we seek the esteem of man and when we boast in our own name and not in Yah's name, think about this. It's no different than war. Think about this for a second. This is what war is. When we think about war, we're talking about war of the flesh, carnal war, war of blood, war of bone, war of man. Think about this. What is war? We think about war being won by war machines, weapons of war technology. And this might crashes those that nations seek dominion over through the power of their war machines, their war technology, their weapons of war. That's not what wins wars of the flesh. It has nothing to do with it. In fact, it has zero to do with it. All war. You want to know how war is won? You want to know how carnal and wars of the flesh are won and how real wars of the flesh are fought? Read Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Immerse yourself. If you want to understand the way this world works, because war isn't just violence. War is all manner of man seeking to dominate his fellow man, man seeking to conquer his fellow man, man seeking dominion over his fellow man, domination over his fellow man. If you want to understand the way the world works, this war, this life, this illusion, this mirage that we call reality, which is nothing more than a false illusion. Look no further than Machiavelli's The Prince, Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince, and Sun Tzu's Art of War. That's the texts. That's the narrative, or the false narrative, that winds the clock of this planet. And what does the Art of War tell you? I'll give you the short version. All war is deception. There. I saved you having to read The Art of War. It's not a long book, by the way. But that's it, in a nutshell. All war is deception. Wars of the flesh are fought and won on lies, on deceit, on trickery. That's how wars are won. Not with technology, not with machines, not with weapons. The greatest weapon of all. Read The Art of War, you'll see. It's all deception, it's all lies, it's all trickery. All wars are won with spies. And what are spies? They're treacherous creatures. They're creatures of deceit. They're creatures of deception. They sell out their own people for 30 pieces of silver. This is why war is so evil. This is why. Now I want you to look at, and by the way, I don't mean all war for a sec. Just look. We have to distinguish something here. Wars that are fought to save your people, to protect your people, to defend your people. That's righteous because you're saving the lives of those who were created in the name of Yahuwah. Yahweh, when you save a human life by defending them and protecting them, that's righteous. We're not talking about that. We're talking about wars that seek to crush people, to conquer people, to attain dominion and domination, to crush the will of people so that you can enslave them, so that you can yoke them, so that you can stand on a pile of skulls like a barbarian with an axe and claim absolute dominion over the wasteland that you've created because there's no one left. You've clawed, scratched, and cannibalized your way to the top. Now I want you to look at war of the flesh as I've just described it. And let's contrast that with spiritual warfare. Because this is a completely different war. That's the war we should be fighting. Spiritual warfare. So again, and I'm linking this and I'm comparing this with boastfulness, conceit, arrogance, self-aggrandizement, the way we shout about ourselves and boast and commend ourselves, which is nothing more, again, than putting on a costume, putting on a mask. It's deceit. right? You're looking to put on a show for people so you gain the esteem of your fellow man for purposes of power. No different than war, wars of the flesh. However, when you boast in Yahuwah, when you commend Yahuwah, when you give all glory to Yahuwah, that's the type of boasting we should be doing. So I'm looking at that, I'm contrasting that arrogant conceit of the flesh with wars of the flesh versus boasting in Yah's name, glory to Yah, honor to Yah, with spiritual warfare. So what do I mean by spiritual warfare? So spiritual warfare is the war within. Spiritual warfare is a war that's not fought with and not won with lies, deception, trickery, treachery. No. In spiritual warfare, which again is the war within, the war for your soul, the war where you get to the fork in the road and you need to make a decision that honors the Father or that honors your own selfish desires, lusts, temptations, and indulgences. And you have to make a choice. Every day you're making these choices. And this is the war within. We fight the war within every day. And what are the armies that come against you in spiritual warfare and the war within? The demons of this world. Hashatan, Satan, Lucifer, the devil. They seek just like in war. Just like in wars of the flesh. As I said, read Sun Tzu's The Art of War. All war is deception, all war is lie, all war is trickery, all war is won by spies. The most treacherous amongst us. And who is the father of lies? Who loves to sow hatred and pit man against man? The wars of this planet for dominion and conquering and crushing the will of people. All of that fog of war, all of that deception of war. It's lorded over by Lucifer, the father of lies, the father of filth, the lord of the flies, the lord of death, the lord of maggots. Deception, wars of the flesh. The spiritual war, same enemies come against you internally. Because if you are weak, if you are beset by all manner of evil, if you are sodden with sin, if you are steeped and soaked in defilement and debasement, you leave your heart and your soul open to be captured, to be overrun, to be possessed by evil spirits and demons. And you are influenced then to do the most depraved things, the most decadent things, the most defiled of things, the most debased of things. And the only way you win that war is not with lies and trickery. That's wars of the flesh. That's how evil, that's how the demons of this world win your soul, through deceit and lies. The way you win the spiritual war is with a true heart, not a lying heart. A true heart is strong. A true heart is glorious because it is filled with the righteousness of Yah. A true heart is impenetrable to the demons of this world, to the evil, to the corruptors, to the misleaders and deceivers and evildoers of this world. A true heart is impervious to the haters, detractors, negative influencers, and psychic vampires of this world. A true heart that wears the armor of Yah is impervious to all the slings and the arrows that would break a weak heart. And so we win the spiritual war with truth in Yahuwah. And what is Yahushua HaMashiach? What is the Messiah? The way, the truth, and the life. And that's how we win the spiritual war, the war within, the war each and every one of us fights every single day. And when you are filled with Yahushua, when you're saved, when you have surrendered, imagine this, true victory is not found in glorifying yourself, in bigging yourself up, in promoting yourself, in marketing yourself, in arrogance and conceit, in self-aggrandizement, in that mask you wear, in that costume that you cavort in that masquerade that you revel in. No! Think about this. The real war is won in what the wise of this world who would carry on using deception and lies as their weapons of war, who only seek to conquer and control and gain power over their fellow man. They are so blind to the truth, they do not see that real strength is in surrendering, falling to your knees, and completely giving up, giving it over, turning all complete control over to Yahushua HaMashiach and letting Him guide you, letting Him show you the path, letting Him lead you on the way so that you can discover the truth and so that you could live the life in Yahushua HaMashiach, everlasting life, because you are now once and forever forgiven and you will return to paradise when He comes and He reigns over this earth once again. And there is no more war or misery. There's no more pain or suffering. There is no more deceit or deception, decadence or depravity, defilement or debasement. There is no more despair or depression. There is no more illness or disease, pain or suffering. It's all wiped away. The devil, Lucifer, the demons of this world, God crushed beneath His feet. There's no more violence, no more murder, no more death. Finally, there is peace, everlasting peace, for He reigns now. He reigns for 1,000 years. Peace, everlasting love, everlasting healing, everlasting life, everlasting joy, and where He lives among us once again, and where we can honor, glorify, and worship and praise Him and love Him with all of our hearts, all of our souls, all our minds, all our strength, in the most perfect of manner. Because we are once again like we were in Eden, perfect in every way, in the image of Yah. That's where true strength is found. Imagine that. Who would have thought? The brutes of this world, the conquerors of this world, the tyrants of this world, the dominators of this world, who see strength through crushing their victims. That's weakness. That's weakness. Because they're forever clawing, scratching, and cannibalizing for more and more and more. Their thirst never ends. Their hunger never ends. They are never fulfilled. They are beset on all sides by demons, and they are filled with Hashatan, with Satan. Their soul is ripped to pieces in the end so that Satan may live. True strength is found in surrendering to the one who sacrificed Himself, who allowed Himself to be murdered, tortured and tormented, who paid the ultimate price, who died the most excruciating death, who carried the weight, the unbearable weight of all the sins of the world, all sins that were ever committed, all sins that were being committed at the time of his excruciating death, all sins that we commit now, all sins we'll ever commit in the future, and bore all the fury of Yah for all of our decadence and depravity, all the times we rejected him and his commandments, all the times we erected false idols and worshiped false gods over and over and over, no matter how many chances he gave us. And through all of that, paid that ultimate price, and still willingly, even in his darkest hour, in the most heartbreaking way, in that moment, after carrying all that weight, all that pain, all that suffering, going through all of that, and then wondering, because he was also the Son of Man, feeling like any man would, having that hole that we all have, that God-sized hole that is never fulfilled with anything but Yah. Walking through life, we walk through life empty and dead to the world, to this day, filling ourselves with everything that this world has, all the depravity, all the decadence, all the cheap thrills, all the drugs, we feel cannibalized, claw, scratch, consume, hedonism, pleasure-seeking, consume. Never enough. Why? Because we've been cast out of paradise. We've been separated from our Creator. And only through Yahushua HaMashiach do we return. And do we feel peace and solace and completely fulfilled. But yet he lived the human... Yah manifested himself as man to know our experience, to live our experience, to know what it's like, and to see if we were truly worthy of being saved or being wiped out once and forever. And he deemed us, even through all of our hatred, all of our atrocities, all of our evil, all of our sin, all of our rejection of him, yet he saw good in us, his creation, created in his image. He saw the good in us, enough of it, that he was willing to give everything, including himself, his only begotten Son, the perfect Lamb of Yah, the ultimate sacrifice, living as a man, and in that final moment to add to all the pain and the suffering of the ultimate sacrifice, to feel like every man does, having been cast out of paradise and torn away from the Father, in that moment where he says, Father, why have you forsaken me? Because in that instant, he felt the aloneness we all feel. And yet he still went. His faith was so strong. His belief so strong. His love for the Father, for Abba, for Yahuwah, so strong that he went through with it anyway. He sacrificed himself so that we may be saved, so that we may be forgiven once and forever, so that we may truly know the Father, so that we may truly know Yahushua HaMashiach, so that we may truly know the Ruach HaKodesh and have everlasting life in the kingdom of God. And all of that, imagine, we gain all of that. You gain all of that in surrendering. Not in conquering, not in crushing, not in defeating, but in surrendering to Yahushua HaMashiach. So let us glory in Yahushua HaMashiach. Let us boast in Yahushua HaMashiach. Let us honor not ourselves, but Yahushua HaMashiach. Let us shout from the rooftops, not about ourselves, but about his salvation, so that others who are lost, who are in pain, who are suffering, who are alone, who are filled with anxiety, frustration, and depression, who are drowning in drugs, drowning in alcohol, drowning in thoughts of suicide, who are absolutely hopeless, may they hear us in our glorification of the Most High, and of his light, and of his healing, and of his forgiveness, redemption, and salvation, such that they too can be lifted out of the sludge, out of the muck, out of the mire, and find peace, find solace, find paradise and kingdom to come, as they now join us and walk with us as we march taller than ever, sanctified, justified, righteous in our strength, in his glory, in his boasting, in his esteem, as we speed headlong, relentless, ceaseless, unconquerable, unassailable, undefeatable, as we move and groove to kingdom come.